Hey there, so here's kind of our last example where we are going to factor quadratic trinomials using this grouping method. Now this one's a little bit different. Again, first check to make sure it's in standard form. Ours is. We have negative 3x squared, our squared terms at the front of our problem, and our constant, which is positive 2, is at the end. So we made sure it's in standard form. Now our leading coefficient, again, is a number other than 1, but this time it is also not just a number other than 1, it's a negative number as well. It's a negative 3. So to start off problems like this, where that leading coefficient is a negative number, you're actually going to factor out a negative 1. So that means you're just really dividing each term by negative 1. And you're going to write that in front of a set of parentheses there. Again, we're going to divide that out. So starting at the front, taking negative 3x squared divided by negative 1. Well, negative 3 divided by negative 1 is a positive 3, and then I still have x squared. Moving along, I really have negative 1 divided by negative 1. So negative 1 divided by negative 1 is a positive 1, and I still have x there. And then the very last one, I have 2 divided by negative 1. So that's going to give me negative 2, or minus 2 there. Now this is really going to be the quadratic trinomial that I am trying to factor out here. 3x squared plus 1x minus 2. This negative 1 will play a role. We're going to end up putting it back in front of our answer at the very, very, very end of our problem. So that is still important, just we're going to leave it alone for now. So again, the first thing I need to do is multiply my leading coefficient with my constant, which means that in our case, we're multiplying 3 by negative 2, and then we're going to list off factors of that number. So doing that off to the side, 3 times negative 2, oops, sorry about that. 3 times negative 2 gives me negative 6. So I'm going to list off those factors. So I could have negative 1 times positive 6. I could have 1 times negative 6, negative 2 times positive 3, or positive 2 times negative 3. Now I'm going to go through that list. I'm going to figure out which pair of numbers adds together to give me positive 1, that coefficient on the middle term there. So negative 1 plus 6 gives me positive 5, not what I'm looking for. 1 plus negative 6 is negative 5, still not what I'm looking for. Negative 2 plus 3 gives me positive 1. Oh, there are the factors that I need. So splitting apart 1x into my two factors. So my first factor was negative 2, so I have negative 2x. My second factor was positive 3, so I have plus 3x. Now I need to take that first and last term, put it back onto the front and ends of my problem. So I have 3x squared in front and minus 2 on the end. Now I'm going to group my problem into two parts, or well, into two halves here. My first group will be 3x squared minus 2x. My second group will be 3x minus 2. Now in that first set of parentheses, the only number that can divide 3 and negative 2 is 1. But x squared and x, I could take out an x there, factor that one out. So I'm going to go ahead and write 1x in front of a set of parentheses here. So 3 divided by 1, and then x squared divided by x. So 3 divided by 1 is 3, x squared divided by x is just x. Moving along, I have negative 2x divided by 1x. So negative 2 divided by 1 is still negative 2. X divided by x cancels out, so I don't even need to show that. Moving into my next parentheses, well, 3 and negative 2, that's still only divisible by 1. There's no other x's for me to factor out, so I'm going to put in front positive 1 there in front of a set of parentheses. Again, I'm going to divide that out. So 3x divided by 1, well, 3 divided by 1 is still 3. X divided by nothing is still x. Then I have negative 2 divided by 1. Negative 2 divided by 1 is still negative 2. Again, you know you're on the right track when those parts inside the parentheses match. So writing that as one common factor, I have 3x minus 2. taking those other terms, positive 1x and positive 1, putting those together in another set of parentheses. So 1x plus 1. And there you have it, folks. We factored our trinomial into the quantity 3x minus 2 times the quantity 1x plus 1.